The crystalline chamber hummed with a frequency that made Wayne's teeth ache. He stood beside Britney, both of them bound by energy fields that shimmered like heat mirages in the desert sun. The Zathine high priest, Zolmer, towered before them, nearly 9 feet of chitinous armor and ceremonial robes that seemed woven from starlight itself. Another species falls before the eternal archive, Zolmereth intoned, his mandibles clicking in what Wayne had learned was their equivalent of a satisfied smile. The priest's eyes gleamed with ancient knowledge as he raised his staff, carved from the heartwood of their sacred world tree. You humans stumble through the cosmos like children, ignorant of the languages that shaped reality itself. Wayne tested his restraints again. Nothing. They'd been caught surveying this forgotten moon, pulled from their research vessel by tractor beams that defied every law of physics humanity had discovered. The Zathine were archaeologists, explorers of dead civilizations, collectors of extinct tongues, and apparently, they didn't appreciate trespassers. The rite of classification will begin, Zolmereth announced to the assembled clergy. Dozens of Zathine priests filled the amphitheater, their robes rustling like autumn leaves. We shall catalogue this species' linguistic capacity and determine their worthiness to traverse the sacred spaces between stars. Britney hadn't spoken since their capture 3 hours ago. Wayne glanced at her. The xenolinguist's dark eyes were distant, focused on something he couldn't see. Her lips moved silently, forming words in languages he didn't recognize. She'd always been like this, ever since the academy. While other students memorized Dead Earth, language, Sanskrit, Sumerian, Britney had obsessed over fragments of alien dialects recovered from archaeological sites across human space. The test is simple, Zolmereth continued, his translator device rendering his clicks and whistles into flat, mechanical English. I shall speak in the first tongue, the language from which all others descended. If you cannot comprehend even a syllable, you will be marked as primitives and expelled from this sector. Your species will be barred from these archives for 1,000 rotations. Wayne's heart sank. 1,000 years, humanity would lose access to whatever knowledge this place held: star charts, technology, the accumulated wisdom of extinct civilizations, all because they couldn't understand some ancient alien language that predated their entire species. Zolmereth struck his staff against the floor 3 times. The sound resonated through the chamber like a gong. He opened his mandibles wide and began to speak. The words that emerged weren't words at all. They were mathematics and music, color and emotion, woven into syllables that seemed to bypass Wayne's ears entirely and resonate directly in his skull. He felt rather than heard them, each phoneme carrying layers of meaning that his brain struggled to process. It was beautiful and terrifying, like standing at the edge of a black hole and feeling reality bend around you. The Zathine priest spoke for 30 seconds, though it felt like hours. When silence finally returned, Wayne realized his nose was bleeding. The pressure of trying to comprehend that language had been physical. You have 10 seconds to respond, Zolmereth said, his tone almost pitying. Show us you understand even a fragment, or Cathris Maya, Ethan Valia Minara Zymoth Elsora. Britney's voice cut through the chamber like a knife through silk. Wayne's head snapped toward her, disbelieving. She stood straighter now, her eyes bright and focused, speaking in that same impossible language. The syllables flowed from her mouth with perfect clarity, each one resonating with the same mathematical precision, the same emotional depth. Zolmereth's staff clattered to the floor. The sound echoed in the sudden, absolute silence. Every Zathine in the chamber had frozen, their compound eyes wide with shock. Some of the younger priests made keening sounds of distress. Ethkara Cylon Massa Deathquin, Britney continued, her voice gaining strength. Wayne didn't understand the words, but he felt their wetter response to Zolmereth's challenge, delivered with the confidence of a native speaker. The high priest's legs buckled. He sank to his knees, his 4 eyes locked on Britney with something Wayne could only describe as religious awe. Impossible, Zolmereth whispered, his translator barely functioning through his shock. The first tongue died 50,000 cycles ago. The last speakers vanished before my ancestors learned to count stars. How? His voice broke. How does this human speak the language of the architects? Britney smiled, and Wayne saw the exhaustion behind it, the toll that speaking had taken on her. Because we don't forget, she said in English, her voice hoarse. Every language humanity has ever encountered, we preserve, we study, we resurrect. 3 years ago we found a derelict ship at the edge of the Kepler Verge. The database was corrupted, but I recovered fragments, spent 1,000 hours reconstructing grammar from context clues, learning pronunciation from audio files degraded by cosmic radiation. She looked directly at Zol. You call it the first tongue. In our archives, we labeled it Unknown Precursor Language, Sample Epsilon 7. I wrote my doctoral thesis on it. I never thought I'd meet someone who could confirm I'd gotten it right. The high priest remained on his knees, trembling. Your species, ... he began, then stopped. Try it again. You found fragments, corrupted data, and from that, you rebuilt the language of the architects. He looked at Britney as if seeing her for the first time. We who have studied it for millennia, who have intact recordings and sacred texts, even we struggle to speak it without error. But you, from fragments and determination alone. He retrieved his staff with shaking hands and struck the floor once. The energy fields binding Wayne and Britney dissolved. I have lived for 300 rotations, Solmerith said quietly. I have studied 10,000 extinct languages. I have catalogued the speech of 500 dead civilizations. He bowed his head. Never have I encountered a species with such linguistic tenacity, such refusal to let knowledge die. Wayne helped Britney stay upright. She was swaying now, exhausted from the effort, but she managed to bow slightly to the assembled Zathine. Humanity doesn't let things stay forgotten, she said simply. Not languages, not history, not each other. It's what we do. Zolmerith straightened, his mandibles clicking in what Wayne now recognized as profound respect. Then the archives are yours to explore, daughter of Earth. Any species that can resurrect the language of the architects from fragments deserves to walk among the sacred shelves. He paused. Perhaps he might even teach us what we have forgotten about our own ancient tongue. As they were escorted from the chamber now, as honored guests rather than prisoners, Wayne leaned close to Britney. Did you really learn all that from corrupted database files? She grinned weakly. And 3,000 hours of pattern recognition algorithms, and maybe some educated guessing on verb conjugations. She squeezed his arm. But they don't need to know that part. Behind them, the Zathine priests were already debating in hushed, reverent tones. The humans had arrived, and with them, the ancient dead languages would speak once more.